when you're a single guy and you got all these cheesy pickup lines, right? And you got all these lines and I'm funny and everything. And after about the third date, you kind of out of lines and you kind of get exposed for who you are. Who are you and what are you? And it's the same way in the NFL season. We're in week 16. Everybody knows everybody's plays. You're not fooling anybody anymore. Like, you need guys who can make plays off script. And I want to talk about two teams to start the show. Dallas. I've been saying this all year. When I look at Dallas, McCarthy can drive me nuts. Dak is sometimes conservative. And I'll get to that in a second. But nobody's fooling anybody. And Dallas has playmakers. And the great Jimmy Johnson, Troy Aikman teams, they had playmakers. Who gives Nick Saban trouble in college football? Quarterbacks that can run around. Who gives Belichick trouble? Quarterbacks that can run around, like Josh Allen. But Dallas has defensive line playmakers, and Micah Parsons wherever you line him up, and Trayvon Diggs at corner. And they had 5 different receivers with over 50 yards and running backs. And between the injuries and COVID, so much of this now, I was talking to GMs over the weekend. They're like, listen, it's survival. We're just trying to get through games with COVID and injuries. But Dallas, all their playmakers now are healthy. That's why they're surging. I mean, New England may have the best coach in the world and the best offensive coordinator and the best culture. New England doesn't have dudes that can make plays off script. And you can't fool anybody. You're playing division teams now. You've seen them twice. You know all their players. And so when I'm watching Dallas, the truth is, after that third date, you get exposed. Well, after week 16 in the NFL, you are what you are. And what Dallas is, fast, athletic, rangy, multifaceted. And let me support two people who sometimes I'm critical of, Mike McCarthy. You can say what you want about Mike McCarthy. He went out, had a major issue at defensive coordinator with Mike Nolan, and he solved it. Like, they got to pay Dan Quinn to stay. Like, Dan Quinn's hit it out of the park. Simplified the offense, let all these playmakers play. So Mike McCarthy has mostly gotten out of the way. He sees how good this talent is. And by the way, Dak Prescott, and I've said this before, he can fall into a Dak and dunk. But again, I think Dak is smart enough that, and I said this last week, that he looks around at all these playmakers. And Dak's like, if I don't screw it up, we can drop 30 every weekend. And that's what Dak does. If you look at his home and road splits, like, Dak never makes mistakes at home. He may not throw it downfield as much as I'd like, but it's almost like Chris Paul running the Suns. When you've got an Ayton and a Devin Booker and a Mikal Bridges, I don't need you to drop 38. Get it to the right people at the right time, occasionally make a big throw or a play with your feet. So, you get to this time of the year, the teams with playmakers, they're separating. And Dallas has a lot of them. And yes, they're well run. I've said this before. You never get credit as like a president of a company or a country for the mistakes you avoid. Right? Like, we had a president recently. It was chaos every 15 minutes, every 15 days. You don't get credit in life if you don't have to solve problems you create. And that's where Mike McCarthy and Dak, they're looking around. It's like, we draft well, we run well, we sack well, we protect well. They've kind of gotten out of the way. So I think Dallas now feels like, as everybody's battling injuries and COVID and their scheme fatigue, Dallas feels like they've moved back into that 6-7 team Super Bowl bubble. And by the way, they're not dependent on any player or any unit. They've got stars on the defensive line, linebacker, secondary, wide receiver, running back, O-line Pro Bowlers, quarterback. Like, not dependent on any one thing. That'll get you knocked out of the playoffs fast. If you're dependent on a unit or a player, and Dallas isn't, very impressive. So I want to talk about the Buffalo Bills. And, it doesn't matter if it's a team or a movie or a relationship. Some people just suck you back in. There's something about them. They're funny. They're dynamic. Buffalo, I had Buffalo getting to the Super Bowl. And they drove me crazy. They don't run the ball enough. Although against New England this weekend, they actually committed to the run. But we always talk about the value of quarterbacks. And you know this. I'm not telling you anything. We talk about it all the time. We know they're important. Like, if you look at right now at the standings in the NFL, 7 of the 8 divisions are the best quarterback leads it or is tied for the lead. The only exception's the AFC South, and I'm not sure that division has a best quarterback. Tannehill, Carson Wentz, I'm not sure it has one. But in every other division, the best quarterback leads it or is tied for the lead. And the New England-Buffalo game was back and forth and close. And it really came down to 3 plays and 1 series. And it was all Josh Allen. And you just can't, it's priceless. You can't define how valuable. 4th and 1, New England's got it absolutely booked in, first down. New England had it perfectly defended. Next play, 3rd and 10, big play. Shovel pass to Stephon Diggs. They get down to the red zone. And once again, New England's got the people in the right spot. Nope. Dawson Knox. Those 3 plays are the difference between punting to Mac Jones and crossing your fingers with Buffalo's defense and winning the division and leading it. 3 plays, 1 quarterback. In each one, you got to be special at quarterback to be a special team. In each one, New England has it perfectly defended. Josh Allen, with all due respect to Jim Kelly, is a once-in-a-franchise player. 6'6", he's their best runner, huge arm. Those 3 plays are the game. And simultaneously, Mac Jones on back-to-back weeks. Scheme fatigue. People know what New England does. He is trailed in back-to-back weeks. And the difference between this game was all quarterback. Go look at the box score. 3rd down, Buffalo was great. New England was terrible. Yards per pass, Buffalo was great. New England was terrible. So back-to-back weeks, Mac Jones is trailing. He doesn't have the great run support. And what has he done in back-to-back weeks against the Colts and the Bills while trailing in the second half? He completes 51% of his throws, 2 TDs, 2 picks, a 66 passer rating. That's what he is. And again, I've said this about quarterbacks for a long time. What are you trailing? What are you when you have to throw? What are you when you don't have a great run game? This game, the coaches are great. There's very little to criticize New England and Buffalo. But when this game was done, it all came down to one has a superstar quarterback talent, one has a guy. And that's not a knock on Mac Jones. He's young. He's a rookie. But the ceiling is so obvious once everything's not lined up. He's trailing in the second half. They're facing a good scheme. He has to throw and everybody knows it. And that's why I keep falling in love with the Buffalo Bills. They're my Shawshank Redemption. Every time I'm bouncing around the TV set and Shawshank Redemption's on the movie, I just stop. It doesn't matter. I could be doing my taxes. It doesn't matter. I could be late for a meeting. I'm going to stop and watch the rest of the movie. That's Buffalo. When you are that gifted at the most important position and you can do so many things off script, I'm in. You can talk about Kansas City. If you asked them privately, who do they not want to face? I'm not even sure they'd say the Buffalo Bills. They would say Josh Allen. If you go back and look at those 3 plays, the 4th and 1, the 3rd and 10, the goal line, they are perfectly defended. They got 2 guys here. It's over. He gains 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards. Look at this, 3rd and 10. Again, doesn't matter, makes a play. Then go to the goal line. I mean, if you're Bill Belichick with your staff this morning, you're like, we had it perfectly defended. I'm not sure if there's 2 other quarterbacks in the league that can make all 3 of the plays. For our radio audience, I apologize. The 4th and 1's incredible. How does he get 9 yards out of that? He's a quarterback. I mean, how? It's one of the best defenses in the NFL. Want to be special? Get special at quarterback. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.